Hi there, this is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com, and today we're going to talk about decluttering homeschooling. Hey, I'm back. I took a little break, over the Christmas holiday. I just was so busy, and then I got kind of not feeling too good. I know a lot of people have been struggling. We do that from time to time. So I'm really glad to be back, and I thought we would talk about decluttering homeschooling because I think in January, when we're starting a new year, we automatically think, how can I make my life go more smoothly? And so, we're looking at a lot of different areas, and I think homeschooling is important because sometimes we think, well, in September we have it set in stone, we decided what we're going to do, and so now we're just going to pick right back up and we're just going to be more diligent. But sometimes what happens in January, what we can do then is we can reevaluate, because I consider that January, February, and March are like the golden time for really close academic learning. Now, learning happens all the time, but when we're talking about academic learning, we're talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, we have maybe September and October, and then part of November, and then things kind of get crazy for the holidays. And then after the holidays are over, then we have January, February, and March. So I love this time of year. This is my favorite time for homeschooling. But I know for a lot of it, it's oh man, I have all this curriculum. I missed December because it was so crazy, and now I've got to try to get all this stuff done in order to finish, and so it can be a real time of pressure and dread, and it's oh, I have to go back to that grind, right? And so I think that sometimes what we need to have permission to go ahead and go through everything, reevaluate everything, and to have someone give us the permission that if something isn't working or we don't like something, we can get rid of it. Yeah. I give you permission. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about those types of things that in January can make us dread the rest of the year, or if we follow this kind of system that I'm going to suggest, then we can actually look forward to the last part of homeschooling through the spring and into the early summer, right? Or if you homeschool all year round, however you do it. Okay. So usually the reason why we're thinking of homeschool as a grind is because we have sometimes too much curriculum, or we're using stuff that is dread filled, or we have too much extra life going on. So when we're reevaluating, when we're talking about taking and looking through all this stuff, we need to first, let's talk about the home environment, because if we have too much life going on around us, it takes focus time to be able to do some math, to be able to write an essay, to be able to read a book. And if our whole home is so chaotic that we can't find a pencil to write with, we don't know where that book went that we were going to read, it can just get so crazy that we can't do the things we're supposed to do. So we have to, this is called homeschooling. We've got to remember that we've got to keep home in homeschooling. So we've got to take and we've got to reevaluate. Okay, so what kind of things are happening in the home environment that are not allowing us to have time to do our academics? Okay, so if we have too many outside activities, I know we got the co-ops, we got we got all this stuff going on, but if that stuff is keeping us from doing basic things like having good food for breakfast and lunch and dinner, if it's keeping us from knowing that we have clean underwear in the morning, then there's something out of balance. We can't have it all. You can't do it all. You're just, we just have to realize that there are some things that you have to give up that are not as good in order to have the best. That it's a lie to think that we can gallivant all around the place and still have that really close-knit thing where we're enjoying, the comfortable cuddling and reading of the books and everything. You have to make choices in life. You can't have everything. But what you try to do is you try to have the best. So you give up what's less good for what is really good, right? So you got to say, well, I want to do good things with my kids, but I can't really get that done if their beds are never made and I never wash the linen. When's the last time I washed linens, right? And if we've got clothes scattered all over the house, we can't wash, we can't fold. The kitchen is dirty. There's food in the refrigerator. I don't even know what that looks like. What is in there? Science experiments. There you go. And let's. If you have to take a week or 2 weeks and watch all the binge. First, what you want to do is binge watch all the minimalist videos. And then sit down and start making a plan and follow their instructions, and then just go through your house and get a hold of that. Get rid of the activities that are not the best. Like I said, there are certain things, like if your family is really interested in music, keep the music lessons, ditch the sports. If your family is really into sports and you know you have young men that need that, well then keep the sports, ditch the gymnastics or whatever else, other little things you have going on that you're really not that interested, but you do it because you think you're supposed to. Don't do stuff that you're supposed to. Do this that because of what other people think. Do the stuff that you're supposed to because that's how God made you and that's how He's leading you. And then you get rid of the not so good stuff and you keep the best, right? Keep the best and get rid of it. Isn't that what decluttering is? We are getting rid of the stuff. What is it? Don Aslan, I read his book. He said, certain things actually add to your life and certain other things actually suck the life out of you. And so what you're doing is when you're decluttering, you're saying, you take each item, you take each activity, you take each part of your day and you say, this adds to our life, this sucks the life out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep those things that add and build up, and I'm going to get rid of the suckers, right? Like, if you think, all of us have had to look at the apps on our phone and the time we spend in social media and all that kind of stuff. We've all been really reevaluating that, haven't we? Instagram, really nice thing, but I can go on there because of all the reels and all the stories. You can go in there and you just want to catch up on certain people, and then you just get sucked into all the reels, and you're going to be on there for 5 minutes. 2 hours later, you're still staring at the stupid thing, right? So that's really sucking out of your life, where you need things that add to your life. Okay? So there's all kinds of stuff like that. I'm not trying to be picking on anybody. If that's where you get stuff added to you, then, that's good. There are ways, set a timer, make sure you have everything else done and that's your treat. There is different things to do. And then it can actually be something that adds instead of something that sucks. I just gave that as please don't be offended. But anyway, less toys to pick up, less clothes to launder and fold, less bedding to make, less activities to sap your strength. You get it. So that's just my outline, so I have to read it. Okay. Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is too much curriculum. Now, we're girls and we love to shop and we get a thrill when we buy things. And so, we have this marketing system in the Western world, and the marketers, what they do, they try to convince us to buy things that either we don't need or we already have that. And so, you might have a whisk, but this special whisk, or you might have a pan that works for everything you need, but you need this special pan. And how many gadgets and different things we got, we have to give them away periodically. Like, oh man, what was I spending money on that for? This thing works just fine. So marketing, and unfortunately in the homeschool world, even other homeschool moms, so that they can get free curriculum, or so that they can get money to help their small business, and I totally understand it, and this is not negative on them in any way, but we need to evaluate what they're offering. Is this really something I want? Is this really something I'll use? Or am I just buying it because it looks good, or because this person suggested it for me, whatever, And we need to be very careful and be discerning, because I was talking to my daughter today, and she homeschools, the one that I've had on here, she homeschools her kids, and she said, Mom, the things that are the most blessing for us are the ones that we've gotten for cheap or free. Because, she's pretty comfortable, and so she can buy stuff, and she has bought stuff. She's bought expensive stuff, and just realized that the stuff that she and her children really use, and what really helps them is the stuff that wasn't that expensive. And I have video after video that explores this that you can watch. And along that same line, then we've got to look at stuff that is dread filled. Okay, so whether it was cheap or free, or whether we spent money on it, if there's something that is just awful and we, we just don't want to do it, and the kids go, and we're like, okay, kids, we're gonna have to do this. And it's like taking medicine, but without, like, and you know how they take Tylenol, and it's really bitter tasting, so they put all that the sugary stuff, and it's not even sugar, and it just tastes so awful, and for babies, I don't know if you ever tasted baby Tylenol, but that stuff, I understand why babies gag. Okay, it's awful. And so, it's just like, you just can't stand it. Maybe you need to get rid of it. I mean, if it's making you feel that, if it's making your whole homeschool like, why not just get rid of it? Now, there are some things, okay, I'm going to put a caveat to this. And that is, if you had your kids, they woke up in the morning, they're all kind of groggy, say, are you guys hungry? And so you say, well, how about, I tell you what, I'm going to give you a nice bowl of sugary cereal while I make you some eggs and bacon. Now, I'm going to ask you the truth. If you give your child that bowl, let's say it was Captain Crunch. I know it's evil, it's sinful. Let's say that you gave them a bowl of Captain Crunch. And they just ate that, and it was all licked. And then you offered them bacon and eggs. Do you really think they're going to be hungry for the bacon and the eggs? Now, on the other hand, if you started them out and they were waking up and you were frying that bacon and them eggs, and they just smell that delicious smell, and they came in and you say, how about some bacon and eggs? Hey, they're going to be going, oh, I love bacon and eggs. Give it to me, okay? So it's kind of like that. It's like we need to offer our children the best, even though the other stuff might be like immediately meeting their, it's feeding like their pleasure sensors, but it isn't really going to fill them with good education. So you got to kind of weigh that stuff, right? But having said that, if there's something that you all just dread and hate, just get rid of it. Just throw it away. I mean, it's just not worth. It's going to keep your kids from enjoying the stuff that is good, because everything will have just that taint of awful. Let's see. Let me put it this way. Oh, I know what I'll tell you. I abhor. I can't stand the smell of liver. I can't stand the taste of it. I can't stand anything about it. I just taste that blood, the blood and liver. I just can't stand it. Well, when I was a young girl, okay, so when I was a young girl, I'm pale, okay? I am white as a sheet. If I go to the emergency room, they take me in first because they're sure I'm going to die. Okay, so my mother and people always assumed that I was sickly when I was growing up. So they said, I would go to the doctor and he would say nothing. But anyway, they would say, she needs to eat liver. So I don't know what it is. Liver ruined meat for me. I just couldn't stand any meat because they would make me eat liver, and I couldn't stand. I mean, I had all kinds of tricks where I would trick my mom. Like, I honestly would try it. I would stick it like in the mashed potatoes. I'd stick one little tiny cube in there and try to eat it like that, so I wouldn't taste it. I mean, I'm sure there's something like that for you. But anyway, so when we do that, it's like, then I never wanted to eat meat. I hated all meat. I couldn't stand it because that liver ruined it for me. So when you take your kids and yourself and you're forcing yourselves to do this awful, horrible thing that you're calling learning, it ruins all of learning, and it's like horrible. So don't do it. It's okay. I give you permission, okay? How can you reevaluate? What's a good way to do it? Okay, so stack up your books, your materials, and all of your plans, like what you've planned and the different things you do, and like make categories, right? Put them in categories. Things that we love, things that work, like we couldn't do without. Okay, things you love, things that are the best, and they're necessary, but they are the best, right? Put that list, and then put over here things that are fluff and things that you hate. Like, make all this list, put stacks, take your books and make stacks of that. And then decide what you will keep and what you will throw away. And then breathe a huge sigh of relief. And then make a plan based on that. And it's okay. You'll probably have to do this over and over again. This is not the last time you'll have to do this. And you know what? Like they say, you can't direct a car that's sitting in the garage. So you have to start out and you have to try something, right? So don't be mad at yourself that you went out and you bought this thing or you printed this thing out or you followed this advice. It's okay. None of us know what we're doing, right? So you just have to move and have God direct you, and He'll direct you in all kinds of different ways. And it's okay. You didn't fail. You don't have to force yourself to finish it just because you started it. It's really okay. As long as you do what's necessary, it's all right. You're okay. So now I hope that helps you. I hope that gives you breathing room. So let's talk about something more. Okay, so as we're talking about 2023, and we're all looking at this year, and I have all kinds of encouraging words that I've been gathering, maybe some words of warning. If anything the last few years have taught us, it's that we should expect the unexpected, right? Because, things have been crazy. Things have been not at all like what we have been expecting. So with that in mind, I think that the best thing we can do is to be more spiritually focused and realize that more and more, this world is not our home. And like Colossians 3, we died and our life is hid with Christ in God. And so with that in mind, I think we have to look at life and realize that there are some clear-cut choices we have to make. And I think most of the people I'm talking to here, we have chosen the Lord Jesus Christ, right? But there may be some of us that aren't quite clear. And we've been fooled. And I know there have been times, even though I would say that I've been a Christian since I was 12, there have been times when I maybe wasn't making a clear choice like I should. So let me just read this. I've written this out, so I'll just read it verbatim. Okay. An existence lived for God is not a comfortable one. Oh, it is filled with the ecstasies of heaven, but not the ecstasies of this earth. True goodness does not build a nest for itself where it can be insulated from all rufflings. This is because to be good, one is automatically opposed to the evil of this world, and that means one becomes a soldier by default. I was a soldier once. If I got the right message during training, it was the one of the Roman soldier being sent into the peril of battle. And he said, "It is necessary I go. It is not necessary that I live." Soldiers don't sit in temperature-controlled cafes and sip barista-prepared beverages while watching their favorite videos or reading their favorite novels. They drudge in sand while the sun pummels them from above. They sit under pouring skies and eat dinner with fingers numb by the cold. They wait for hours, days, and weeks, and then they rush and run till they drop. They may not sleep for days, and when they do, it may be on rocks or in mud. When they fight, they might die, and even if they live, they may not be whole. Parts go missing when you are thrust in the midst of bullets and bombs. We don't want to think about this. We don't like to think of life as having only choices A and B, good and evil, right? We fool ourselves into believing that there is choice C. Choice A is evil, and choice B is good. But false choice C offers the best of both. We avoid the pitfalls and negative consequences of evil, but enjoy the positive consequences and perks of choice B, which is the good, just without any loss of comfort or cost to one's position or belongings. This is a lie. Jesus said so. In Luke 11:23, "He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters." And in Revelation 3:15 through 18, I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I could wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold or hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, poor, blind, and naked, I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. Paul said this in 2 Timothy chapter 2. You therefore must endure hardship as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No one engaged in warfare entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who enlisted him as a soldier. There is no sea. These past few years must be sinking that in our minds. There is no choice C. Either we are totally God's or we are totally the world's. There's no in between. There's no gray area. Both will cost us. One will cost us in this short life on earth. The one will cost us for eternity. To follow Christ means we will have to give up things in this life. We will have to take a stand for the truth, and that could cost us our lives. But if we're not willing to pay the cost in this life, we'll pay for eternity. We will have lost everything for eternity. Okay. Luke 14:26 through 33. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest, after he has laid the foundation, and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, going to make war against another king, does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for conditions of peace. So likewise, whoever of you does not forsake all that he has cannot be my disciple. Okay, when one sits down and weighs all things, there is only one choice that makes sense. Jim Elliot put it this way. Jim Elliot was Elizabeth Elliot's husband, the one who died trying to help the Alca Indians in South America. Okay, here's what he said. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. That's good. Okay, and so with that in mind, Jesus said it over and over again. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and for the gospel will save it. And that's from Mark 8, chapter 8, verse 35. It's also echoed in Luke 9:24, Luke 17:33, and John 12:25, and all those places. This is like a theme that Jesus had. To die to self, right? To take up your cross daily. And so when we look at this, okay, how does this apply to us? Well, we have a job to do. I have a job to do. I'm the mother of 15 children. I'm the wife to one husband. I'm a homeschooling mom. I have a business. I'm a grandma to, it's going to be 17 grandchildren. Okay, and I look and I'm a neighbor. I'm a citizen of my country. And I look at this and I say, Lord, I have a job on earth to do for you. But what ultimately do I need to be thinking about? I need to be thinking about God's kingdom. I need to be willing to stand for God's truth, no matter what it costs me in this life, because I'm not living for this life. I'm living for the life to come. But what does that mean for all these responsibilities that I still have? There's a secret for that. Jesus said this in, this is Matthew 6, verse 33. It says, But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. So if we seek first God's kingdom, his truth, stand for righteousness, no matter what it costs, God will be, if we look out for the things of God, God will look out for the things that concern us, right? God is perfecting that which concerns me. And God said, he who honors me, him will I honor. So you see, when we put God's kingdom first, what we do is we actually open the door. Well, we actually open the door and we give him permission to take care of all those things that concern us. Okay, we exchange our strength we exchange our strength for his. We allow him to equip us to do the work he's given us to do by putting him first. So that is the beginning message for 2023. I have other words that God's given me, but that is a thing that God laid on my heart New Year's Eve. And I hope it helps you. I hope it encourages you. I hope it helps you to put your focus. It's actually very restful to rest in the arms of a great, wonderful, living God, isn't it? Well, you have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.